Hello, this is Jamaica 5288 and I have an orchid here. Today we're going to repot this orchid that is not doing very well. It's stressed out, it has a bunch of dead roots on it, and we're going to repot it and get it healthy. So the first thing you need to get is, of course, you have your orchid here, and you can probably find these in the clearance rack at Lowe's, Home Depot, or a big box store. They usually mark them down pretty low. I mean, they sell for over $20 normally, but you could probably get it for $5 or less, especially when they look like this. This thing is still alive though. There's still some roots on it that are still alive. So what I have here is some orchid potting mix. Now, orchid potting mix is different than from regular seedling mix because it's mostly wood chips. That's it. So we'll put that back in there. And I have my scissors here, and I have a new pot. There's nothing wrong with this pot, and I'm sure I could reuse it. I'll probably reuse it for something else, but I want a white pot instead. So I soaked this orchid in water for about 20 minutes, and I'm gonna try to work it out of this pot. It's been in here for, I don't know, years, and there's water in it. Let me drain the water right here so I don't get a bunch of it on the table and the floor. So I'm working my finger around the pot, trying to loosen any roots that are stuck in the pot, on the pot, off. So I'm working my finger around the pot, trying to nudge this thing out of here. Starting to move. Great. We want to keep as many healthy roots as possible. So, okay, I've gotten it out. So the problem with store-bought orchids is that instead of them, there's a cup here, instead of them filling it with orchid mix, they fill it with peat moss. Now the reason why they do that is because they want to keep the plant alive during shipping. Problem is, when you get it home, or if it sits in that mulch, look at this. This is peat moss. This is moss. That's what you don't want your orchid in. The only reason why they keep peat moss in is to keep the roots alive during shipping. But once you get it home, it's a good idea, and I didn't do that, is to take this stuff off because this will rot your roots. Orchids are basically, look at that. All of this is root rot. And they had that plastic cup in here. And this is how they propagated it. This is what was in the pot. I've never repotted this thing. And look at that. All of the roots are dead. And there's peat moss in here. And it was just, this cup has a hole in the bottom. But it was just soaking up water and rotting this thing out. So we're going to get rid of all of this. Right? So let's see what we have left. This is what I have left of the plant. So I'm looking at the roots and I see a couple of green ones, but all of these brown ones, they're dead and they're going to continue to rot. So just snip them off. Take them off. Don't try to save anything that looks dead. Anything that looks rotten, dead, just get it off because it'll continue to rot and it'll damage. The plant will try to revive it and it's already stressed out. You're better off having just a remnants of a live plant rather than a bunch of unhealthy roots on these orchids. Now I think this one I caught it in time to save it. I think I did. Yeah, it has some good roots on it. I see some green roots to help me get this thing back going. Starting over, starting fresh. So I'll cut these off. We'll leave the stem there. This one's dead too. Feel it. If it feels like it's hollow, if the root feels hollow, cut it off. It's dead. It's dead. It doesn't make any sense for this plant to keep on trying to send out energy to anything that is Not alive. So I have about 3 or 4 green roots here. I'm gonna bring you closer. So I have about 3 or 4 green roots here. See that? That's a green root, that's a green root, and that's a green root. I snipped off all of this dead stuff. Look at this, brown and dead. You want to get rid of all of that. And this is a way to get, now you're going to take a chance because your orchid could die on you, but you're going to take a chance. If you go to the markdown aisle, like the 50% aisle, Home Depot doesn't separate them. You have to go to their plant section, but Lowe's will put it in a cart in the back, and you'll see these plants, and they'll look like this. And they're like 50 to 75% off. You could probably get them more off if it's in this condition, because this is pretty bad. I waited too long. So I'm just taking off all the dead stuff, right? So what we're gonna do is gonna gather up all of the dead, and look at this. It's a lot of debris. Look at that. All of that is going into that pot. I'm gonna throw that in the trash. I'm not using it for anything. And it's all because it was in peat moss or Spanish moss. I don't know what kind of moss this is, but this is what they packed it in, and this is not what you want to leave your orchid in. Orchids like to be dry. They like getting wet. The reason why the roots come out from the top is because they gather some moisture from the air. I mean, they get water from all the roots, but mostly, I mean, they put out roots on top because they suck in moisture from the air. You do have to water them or soak them once a week to give them, what they lack. But you drain that off. So it's sitting in water and sitting in this peat moss is a bad thing. So I'm gonna move it back, and we're gonna put this into this pot. Okay? And I'm back. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some of this potting mix for this potting mix is made for orchids. So I'm going to put this in there. I'm going to bury this thing down. As deep as I can get it. I'm going to cover it with the orchid mix. Don't be afraid if you have some roots showing. That's okay. These roots are air roots, so they need to breathe. Okay, I got this thing dressed. It's dressed up really pretty. Hopefully, you're gonna be okay, orchid. You're gonna be okay. So I got everything in here, and we're gonna take this and fill it with water. Got it over in the sink, and I am gonna fill this thing up with water. Because the chips are dry, they're gonna try to float. And I'm just gonna let this sit in the sink for 30 to 45 minutes until these wood chips soak in the water. And I'll be right back. So I've had this thing soaking for about 35 minutes. I think it's soaked enough. So look, there's water in here, right? What I'm gonna do is carefully drain it off. Make sure you get all the water out. Be as patient as possible. Don't lose any of the wood chips that are in there. I've taken some out because they swelled and there was way too many in there, but the ones that are in there now is what I want to stay. So I just have to wait till it finishes draining. I mean, beauty takes time. We know that, right, ladies and men? Everybody appreciates beauty, but beauty comes at a cost. And orchids, they're finicky, you know. They like the moisture. So these wood chips are soaked. I'm gonna take my clone tomato plants out of here. And I am going to put this in the window with its friends. And that's it until next week. I'm gonna let this dry out just like I'm doing these and water them, soak them in water for 30 minutes every week. And this one will start looking like this one, as beautiful as it is. And it's big brother right there. Now this one I'm gonna have to up pot real soon because it's gotten too big, and that is the original pot. So I'm concerned. I'm always concerned that it's going to it's going to die on me because it's got the peat moss in it. But I'm gonna fix that really soon. I gotta go and get a pot and I'm gonna fix it. So this is Jamerica 5288. I thank you all for being with me. Let me fix my hair. My hair is always a mess when I'm talking to you guys. Remember to like and subscribe, and remember to take care of yourself, okay? Be kind to yourself and have a good month, good year, good life, all right? I'll see y'all later. Bye.